All right. All right, welcome to Tea Time, everybody. Come on in, come and like, share. Let us know if you can hear. Shout out where you are tuning in from. Let us know also if you are a first time visitor. We thank you for joining us on Tea Time with Liz tonight. It is going to be good, y'all. As you all have known, we have been giving honor to all the men in our lives, whether they're brother, your sister, or your, I keep always saying sister, but I'm just so used to having sisters, right? Your brothers, your husbands, your boyfriends, your sons, whoever the men are in your life. We wanted to show them honor this month and just let them know we're thankful for all that they do, all the things they've been through, and even try to get a deeper understanding of how things work for them. So I'm so honored and blessed tonight to have my brother in law and his father with me. And we are going to get into their introductions here soon. But go ahead, like I said, share, invite somebody, and let us know. And shout out to all you replay players who watch this later. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out on Tea Time with Liz. So before we get started and get into this good old tea that's going to happen tonight, you know how we do. We do our tea time announcements. So I really don't have a whole lot. We're finishing up this month here. Like I said, giving honor to all the men in our lives. So next month, it is going to be your girl who is going to be solo dolo is just going to be me, and we're going to go into a deeper conversation about healing and just going through just kind of those processes, what that looks like, along with my book that I published last year. So if you haven't got your copy, you can get it on Amazon. It is only $8, y'all. So go and grab you a copy so that you can follow along next month as we get into some good healing effects stuff. I'm super excited to actually spend the whole month next month to talk about healing. It is something definitely dear to my heart, and I hope you all are ready. So that is what we got coming up next month. And then August is when like I said, I'm going to shift. We're going to do every other week. And I will let you know what our theme will be next in August. I haven't got one yet. So, but just an FYI, like I said, with your girl with all her business ventures that she's been involved in, I am switching it up to doing every other week. And you'll still get your tea, but we're just going to cut it down to every other week. So I think that's it. That's all I got. So, like I said, shout out to my sister. Obviously, she is tuning in to hear her husband tonight and her father in law. And like I said, thank you all for tuning in. So, I'm going to let my guests kind of introduce themselves. We'll start with Billie's father, Billy Bright. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good, good,
Uh,
good. Thank
I,
you so much for joining us. So, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
um, I'm a retired firefighter. Now I don't know. I do a lot. I'm just a regular guy that just trying to do what God want me to do. I operate a lot in our emergency services chaplaincy, albeit the fire department, police department, or the sheriff's department here in Columbia, South Carolina. Christian counseling, mentoring, you name it, I do it. If they call me, I'm coming. That's pretty
Wow.
much about how it goes. So it's certainly a pleasure to have that leisure, but at the same time, it's a lot of responsibility. So, but
Most
I enjoy it.
definitely.
I enjoy it.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Like I said, so much for taking your time out. And I know we thank you for all the services. I know that's got to be a lot, but I know you are effective in our community. So thank you so much for all that you do. All right. Well, then, Billy, it's on you. The other Billy,
Oh,
Billy Jr.
yeah. Uh, so I'm a youth minister at House of Deliverance. I'm a music instructor, drum lessons, bass lessons, and I'm a college student at Berkeley College of Music.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I think you forgot one other thing. You're a husband, right? Are
Oh
you?
yeah. And I already introduced that part.
I tell you, my siblings don't honor their spouses for nothing. It's fine. Jeremiah forgot too. It's okay though.
I'm a husband.
A
To
whole
this
husband.
beautiful lady in the comments. So yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to acknowledge it when she's sitting right there.
Right? Literally. Well, thank you again for coming on Tea Time tonight. Like I said, we want to get into like father-son relationships. A lot of times, some grow up with their father. Sometimes this relationship starts later on in life. And so, which one of you wants to kind of tell us your father-son journey, your story? What's your all's background?
Well, mine is pretty short. My dad died when I was 5 in the military.
Mm.
So, you know, I grew up a little bit different.
Okay.
But I guess we'll get into that with some of these questions you gave me. But,
Yes.
as far as the father-son relationship, I do have some memories from my dad, but not very many.
Wow. So was that a struggle? So not having that father around throughout your life?
Not to get too deep, I was 5. What you impart on a child, that's what they'll take. Nobody ever told me it was a struggle, so I never saw it as a struggle.
Wow, that's good. That is so good. What's a struggle if you don't know what a struggle is,
Right,
right?
exactly.
That's so
Exactly.
true. So true. All right. Well, Billy, why don't you fill us in on your father-son story?
So
I don't think you know.
I got bits and
we got the receipts right in front of us here, so tell the truth.
so it's like some details I don't have that you got me. So technically, I'm a third.
Okay.
So that's the beginning of my dad son story. As a kid, I always like bragged about it. In elementary school, I'm a third. I'm a third. And early on, it was like on and off. So like, my mom used to drop me off at my dad's house. There were times where dad used to send me like pictures and stuff like that in middle school, but it got really complicated the older I got, 'cause my mom got married and stuff like that. So I didn't see my dad a lot. I wanted to, but I didn't, because my mom had like her personal feelings. And so a lot of that was pushed on to like me. That makes sense. So the only thing I hear about when it came to my dad was what she was telling me.
Wow.
It was like that for years up until, was it high school?
Mm.
Yeah, high school.
Yeah, up until high school. I started running track, and then I think it was Max on Main that I played at.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Max
Yeah.
on Main, and I was playing, and I didn't see my dad in the crowd or whatever. And I mean, my dad, like, he's huge, like you can feel. It no matter how dark.
Dang, that's how you describe your dad?
You can, well, because like when I would hang out with him and he would take me places, like even to this day, like it's Big Billy and then it was Little Billy, and I was legit little, so like I'm like, I'm Little Billy, he's Big Billy. And even now, like the way he hugged me and stuff and rubbed my head, I still feel like Little Billy. So
you'll never be big.
I'll never be big. It's fine, But I was playing at the restaurant and I didn't see him, and I had like a solo or whatever, and like in the middle of it, like I saw him like walk through the door and stuff, and then at the end, like everybody had like a speech that they wanted to say, and my dad literally like hugged me with his like left arm or whatever, and literally like took me in, smothered me in. And I forgot what the speech was, but whatever it was, I cried while he was giving the speech. Yeah, and I never, like, I took that with me to McNally, really. But he did screw me over though, because my first year in college, right? So Prince's drummer, John Blackwell, graduated from my high school. So I got to meet him and all of that. And so I'm playing and I'm hanging out with him. And I called my dad and I was like, hey, like John Blackwell's in town, this and this and that. And he was like, okay, well, I know some people. And so I left McNally and I stayed in touch with John Blackwell. And my dad was like, oh, by the way, I know Sheila E. And I was like, wait a minute. So you telling me this whole time,
This whole time.
I'm trying to build connections, you know what I'm saying, get emails, and he was like, yeah, by the way, I do shit. And she's gone now. She's not even in Minnesota, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's too funny.
I didn't think about it. I mean, that's not my lane.
Hey, I get it. It's awesome. All right. Well, I have a quick question though before we get into the other ones that we have. So Billy, you said that your mom kind of formed your idea of who your father was because that's all kind of what you had to go through. How hard was that to kind of I guess get through once you got older, once you got to know your father? Your dad laughing.
Well, see, it's tricky.
Yeah.
We had a lot of emotions to get through and thought processes,
right?
Because I didn't have any control over seeing him, but when we finally found each other, he was literally 5 minutes down the street from me the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I thought he was in another state.
Wow.
So it was some emotions in there.
Most definitely.
No. And they kind of brought us closer together and drive to even try even harder to
bring it together.
So
that's amazing.
Because I remember him saying that. He looked at me. He was like, "You were literally down the street the whole time." I was like, "Well, you were literally down the street."
So were you. Wow.
That's
most definitely. So what advice would you give to single mothers who are, trying to have a co-parenting, I guess, relationship with their father of their children? Would you push them to really try to build that relationship? What is some advice you would give a single mom?
Let go of the past relationship, of course, through forgiveness, mind, heart, and soul, which that's a whole nother tea time to understand those three different dynamics.
Right.
But, allow the man, to be the man in a child's life. Unfortunately, stemming back all the way from, slavery times, women, were hovering over the men for the fear that they would get killed when they went out. Well, it's gotten even worse in these new times where the woman used a child as a sense of selfishness. If the relationship's not working out through them or they have that past pain, they take the child, away from the father. So my advice would be, in this day and time, we have to learn how to blend families.
Yeah.
You got to get into that blended family thing. And, and unfortunately, you have some women that's in some abusive relationships where, if they want to be with this man, you have to sacrifice your child.
Right.
I don't think there's a man on earth worth sacrificing your child for.
Oh, most definitely not. Most definitely not. And I mean, that comes with all wisdom, of course. If it's a dangerous, relationship or a situation, of course, you definitely don't want to put your child in no harm's way. But you definitely, I totally co-sign on that. Being a single mom myself, shout out to my son's father, Cortland, who has been amazing, and we've had our difficult times as well. But through it all, my son does know who his father is, and he has that relationship with him, regardless, like you say, of the past or what happened in our relationship. So I definitely, like I said, agree and concur, and obviously. Billy, as you are little Billy, we're gonna just do that tonight, okay? So as little Billy has, stated, what kind of effect that has on you, especially older or even trying to build a father son relationship. So, which brings me to one of our questions here. So, what role does a son play in manhood? And that goes to Big Billy. What role does your son play in you being a man?
What role does he play in me being a man?
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of old school. Uh,
Okay.
so I was a Marine, so I'm a little bit different. I allow him to feed me a certain level of wisdom, understanding, from his thought processes. We've had some times, you know, uh,
Yeah, we did.
where he didn't understand, I'm the daddy, so I'm old school, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out, you
Listen,
know,
okay.
but we had to learn, he has his experiences, and his thought processes and emotions and all that kind of stuff from those experiences. And I had to learn to respect that. That's one of the biggest things one of the biggest roles I think he plays, because I'll say something,
Mm,
and there's times where he'll just say the simplest thing. I'm like, oh, yeah. So us there,
right.
growing up differently, both without our fathers, but in different ways,
Mm,
gives him a different purview, so he'll, with his input, iron sharpening iron. He's old enough, so he's a younger piece of iron, but he's a piece of iron, so, you know, he,
Yeah.
he sharpens me, I guess, as a man in a different way to help me be more well-rounded.
That's
Yeah.
good.
He gives me a different a point of view. I tell him I'll never agree with what you do because I'm your dad. But my job is to accept it and understand it.
Wow, that's
Um,
good.
I got 20 years on you. Of course, I'm not going to agree with what you're thinking. So he does a really good job at that. He brings me back down to reality and to a different sense of manhood, because we had a hard time with his pastor. One of his old pastors.
Mm,
And in my mind, he wasn't a man.
mm,
For several different reasons, I didn't look at him as a man. You know, uh,
yeah, that's good.
so that was fun.
He said
Yeah.
that was a fun season.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the season. It was about 2 days, about a day of the season.
He said it wasn't gonna last.
We handled that in Applebee's real quick. But
Yeah.
Yes,
you
yes,
know, it was different.
yeah. I
And
get it.
as I think back on it, it was emotionally different because I got my son. Me being a reverend as well, ordained minister and, all these degrees and stuff. And, I got my son looking up to this man, for spiritual guidance. And I feel like he's drawing him in a place he shouldn't be going,
Mm,
but what helped me in that to be more well-rounded as a man was to step back and let him grow.
wow, that's good.
You can't make him grow. You
Yeah,
got to, you have to really step back and watch him grow, and also open yourself up where you can learn from
right,
his growth.
right.
And that's a large role he played as well. Me being able to step back, let him do his thing, and watch him grow.
That's good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. All right, Billy. So, what role has your father played in you becoming a man?
Um, man, I was sitting here like thinking, and I can remember that the Applebee.
You remember that moment, huh?
Oh yeah, because it got heated. Like it was bad. But um, like for me, like my dad, um, like he was always like a Superman to me. I mean, look at him. You know what I'm saying? And then, but like when he opens his mouth, it's like, oh snap. And the thing
Right,
about like me and my dad is like at the time I don't like it. Like when he dropping the gems, I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. Be good, like
oh snap.
you know. And like one thing that I had to break a lot was there was such a bad picture that was painted of him. And so like every time we would talk, like I would like look at him like that, and I'm not intentionally like looking at him like that, but because it's there, I'm automatically looking like, oh, he wants to hurt me. Like he wants to, belittle me, destroy me, but that's not what it was.
Wow.
And so it took a while for me to get to a point where it was like, yo, no, this is my dad. Like, and one thing I caught on really early, especially when I moved to Minnesota, was I can talk to my dad about anything.
That's good.
Even if we bump heads, I know for a fact I can talk to him about anything. And not only will he correct me, but he won't be quick to correct me. Like it'll be like, okay, I listen to you and I understand it. All right, Billy, look, so you need to be doing this, you're not doing this, you need to, so it was like it wasn't a straight like pounding, it was okay, I see where you coming from, but hear me out. And so I looked for my dad and other people. I did.
Good.
Because especially like in college, like my mom only wanted me to text him to get money from him. And I hated that. Like I was like, no, I want to get to know my dad. Like I want to like restore, not even like restore, just have that relationship with my dad. I don't care about the money. Well, you need to da. And so that would push me away to not call my dad because I didn't want my dad thinking that I was only calling him for money. So I wouldn't call or text. So I would try to look for a father figure, like a role model that he is in other people. And like God had to bring me back within like 2 years that I was saved. Like, no, like, okay, yeah, you got these mentors, but I assigned him.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Like, your father. I remember I was
so good.
I was in tears. And I was like, Dad, like, I'm calling you not because like I'm on some fake stuff. Like, no, I'm calling you because I really want a relationship with you. And God really been beating my brains in.
I'm dead.
I was on my way to work. I remember I was on my way to work and I was sending my dad like 10 videos of just me talking. But it was that time in Shakopee where I realized like I only get like one dad. You know what I'm saying? And I can look for other father figures as much as I want, but I will never get another him.
Wow. So good.
And so for me, growing into a man, like my father has a lot of what I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like even when I would tell him that, he'd be like, well, I don't want you making the same like mistakes that I made and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we both always told each other like we wish that we would have turned the clock back, like, and everything we know now, like just destroy all of that separation and stuff. But where my dad is, just spiritually and like mentally, and just how he take care of things as a man, like for me is like I want that. You know what I'm saying? And so every time I spend time with my dad, is like my childhood me is like experiencing what I wish I had.
Right. You're trying to make up for lost time.
You're making up for the lost time. And so it's like, it's good for a father to be in a young man's life because there's a lot that a woman can teach you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when she's trying to play both roles. But there's so much that I just learned just sitting at the table with my dad. When it comes to masculinity, when it comes to being a man, when it comes to being a leader, you know what I'm saying? Not just spiritually, but naturally.
The weird part is I guess you would have to add to that is I learned a lot, because I had Billy when I was young, very young, junior in high school.
Mhm.
But his granddaddy, was the epitome, of
Yeah.
manhood. So he was a strong. I had other men. A lot of my uncles and stuff died when I was younger, but in that particular time in my life, spending the time I spent with his mom, his granddad played a huge role in part of my definition of manhood too, because his dad, granddad. Oh, and I watched his granddaddy grow too, because as well. But his granddaddy played a strong role and he was a hard. Well, he was something else. He was
Man, he still is.
yeah,
He said he still is.
yeah.
Oh wow. Oh well, I just want to go back real quick to what little Billy said as far as sometimes we overlook our parents to be that role model, to be that mentor, to be that guide to us because they're so common. They gave us life and
Mhm.
they've provided needs here and there, but we don't think sometimes we can even grow from them or get what we need because of course the world is like, oh, it takes a village, but sometimes it's those little things in your village that
Right.
you don't have to always go venture out, that you can just stay within your own little teepee and
That's right.
just and sit and learn. So I want to just commend you for that, to take the time to hear God, and I hope some of us can even try to do the same now, even in our adulthood, to really look to our parents to gain wisdom and understanding, because this world isn't getting any easier. But there are some, and I'm a little old school too, that there are some values, there are some things that we still need to hang on to. We need to still understand and learn, and we cannot get through life without them. I'm just going to be very honest. So sometimes it is sitting at the table with our parents or our grandparents and just listening to them, and seeing their point of view. It's all in that listening, just taking the time to listen. So, like I said, I commend you.
That's where wisdom comes from, because
Yeah.
in order to be wise, you got to be dumb.
Mhm.
Well, come on. Okay.
And well,
Yeah.
So
you know,
good.
and one of the biggest things, that a lot of children that I deal with and mentor is they can't get over what their parents have done in their eyes,
Wow.
to be able to gain that wisdom. So sometimes you got to get past those emotions,
Right.
to get to the meat of what they're trying to give you about life. You know, um,
Exactly.
I may not necessarily have conquered it, but I may know somebody that have. That's where that wisdom comes from.
Hmm.
For instance, you guys are just slightly younger than I am, but my history is completely different from your history.
Right.
You all believe in oh, we live in history. I'm like, no, we reliving it. We did this already. You
Right.
know, and it's just people allow those emotions from their parents doing the best they know how to do
Mm.
to
So
get in the way of them building new relationships and sitting down and being able to gain that wisdom and understand this is their purpose now.
mm,
Can't recover from, you know, what, and I told you that a long time ago, whatever I did the best I knew how to do.
that's good.
Albeit good, bad, or indifferent. And you have to accept that and let's move forward and understand now you're getting the polished version, and kind of accept that. So
Right.
a lot of times that's where issues come with children gaining knowledge from their family because they feel their parents didn't treat them a certain way, blah blah.
Oh my God.
Have some certain pains and things from the
So,
past that you have to let go of because when they're gone, they're gone. You know,
right. Sometimes, like you said, that's all they can see. They haven't gotten to that
Yeah.
forgiveness part. So,
right?
which brings me to that question. We're going to skip around a little bit now.
Mhm.
So, let's talk about forgiveness, because I think that is like a huge role, especially when you're trying to reestablish a relationship or ignite a relationship that maybe was never there. Um, how did you overcome, or how did you deal with the forgiveness, either one of you? I mean, obviously.
We didn't care. I was so happy,
Mhm.
to have him, in my life. I mean, I remember one particular point, where we were somewhere and we kind of asked his mom, why. And I think, Billy, that situation lasted all of a couple of seconds. We was like, bump it. We're just going to build this relationship.
Mhm.
And I don't know how he feels about that, but
Was it when I was little?
no, it was when we were. We gotta say it on. I gotta say it on Facebook where we were. We been
Oh, yeah.
remember we was at the courthouse.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the name change.
Mm.
Wait, no.
That was the name change and DNA test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay then. Okay.
Yeah. Cause that and yeah, cause yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So
there
I
were some
think
things.
he would have a
There
little
were
bit
some things.
more. He has a little bit more to forgive for, I guess. Well, I have more experience, and I don't know. He has a little bit more to forgive for than I do. I knew his mama before he did. And not to say she's a bad person. People do what they do.
Right.
But I think he had a harder time forgiving. I think he still does. He probably ain't gonna say it, but he do.
Wait, what? Wait,
Well, tell us, Billy, did you have a hard time forgiving either or, mother or father?
Not me.
Big Billy. I mean, little Billy. Sorry.
He's right. Cause I was angry for so long, growing up, and so like, I have Dylan. I have a brother, and then I have two sisters, and we all have different dads, and so when it was just me and my brother, I would see my brother's dad travel from Virginia like frequently. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just sitting there, just sitting there. And then that whole time that I'm sitting there, like he said, like she was saying negative stuff. Well, we don't know if that's your real dad. Like, well, your dad don't care about you. You here, he over there. He can do this with such and such. He can do this with such and such. But you right here. You know what I'm saying? And then there was a point where we were going to move to
Georgia.
Yeah, we were going to move because of my sister's dad. That's where he was from. But we ended up not moving. We just moved up the street. So for me, it was a lot of anger on both ends because I remember the changing of my name. I didn't want my name changed because I was proud of my name. And I just remember all the arguments and stuff like that. And for me, it was like, I don't care about none of that. I just want to hang out with my dad. Like, that's all I want, And so even up to this point, like, it's still a struggle. Because a lot of the stuff that is felt towards my dad is still being said. And it's like, do you see? You know what I'm saying? So, but when it came to like forgiving my dad, it was nothing.
It was pretty easy.
It was easy. It was like, Dad, all I want is you. Like, whatever I gotta do, you know what I'm saying? Let's make it happen.
Okay, so what would you both say to somebody who is struggling with the forgiveness of what has happened in the past, but has an opportunity to establish a relationship?
I don't want to get too much into the psychology of it, but the Bible tells us to forgive not for the person before ourselves, so we can grow. And people think forgiveness comes with an emotion all the time. Wow. It doesn't necessarily come with an emotion. Right. You're being obedient, and when you forgive, you're taking absolute responsibility for all emotions, and you're not requiring anything from that other person. If you want to put forgiveness into action, that's what it is. It's absolute responsibility, for my emotions, and I am, resolving you of any responsibility to make me feel some kind of way. These my emotions, I'll deal with them, and that's what true forgiveness is all about. But
Mm.
one of the main things I try to teach people is, regardless of who they are, whatever they are,
Yeah.
understand that they're doing the best they know how to do. You know, because we don't know what their feelings are, or what they draw towards. And people
Mhm.
have sentimental attachment towards an emotion, whether
Mhm.
it's right or wrong. I can tell you, hey, you got this chair in your living room. Like, no, I like it. Okay, well, the chair's rotting the floor. No, I like it. All right, we'll just leave the chair there. And a lot of times emotions come with that, because many times people grow, or emotionally grow through that negative emotion, with
Mm.
that negative emotion.
Mhm.
You grow through life, you push through life, your drive is that negative emotion. So there comes that sentimental attachment that they don't want to let go of. So,
That
that's,
that's crazy you say that, because
yeah, I
that
mean,
was my drive for a lot of things.
yeah,
Wow.
Dealing with music, especially um trying to make it, on my own in Minnesota. Like, that was my drive, were those negative, unforgiving like feelings that I had, and that I still kind of have. Um, but I would say, you know, um, therapy, like,
Mm.
is really good. Like,
yeah,
it's really good. Like, I told my dad I was in therapy, and I told him that I had like complex PTSD, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know." And I was like, "How?" Like, well, you have it very well, son, but I know. And I was like, I didn't know, you know
Wow.
what I'm saying? But I knew I carried a lot. And a lot of it was dealing with, how I grew up and stuff like that, and a lot of things that I held on to. And one thing I want to push is the same way that Jesus equips doctors, physicians, hairstylists, plastic surgeons, dentists, the same way Jesus equips
Mm.
therapists. Like,
So good.
God has the power to do wonderful things.
Mm.
But what if the power is to lead you to get therapy?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What if the power is in the therapy? You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? What if the healing? Because, I was telling somebody that I took it, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna just pray about it. I got the Holy Spirit. I don't need it." And I was like, "But don't the Bible say, let this mind be in you?"
That's also
You
a
know what
great
I'm saying? Don't
scripture.
the Bible also say, "Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind"? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, there's some things in my mind that God wants to deal with. And it may not be the custom way that I want him to deal with it,
That's
but
good.
this is it. Because I told my therapist, I said, I don't trust you. I don't want to talk to you. You're wasting your time. That was my first day. That's what I told him. And then now, I'm opening up to him. So
you know,
I,
culturally, we were taught,
yeah,
not to talk about,
yeah,
keep, that's one of the things, not culture. Don't tell nobody what's going on in his house. What happened in his house stays in his house.
it stays in
And
this
that's
house.
So
something
true.
that plagues our community as a whole. We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Right.
We want to hold it, and I believe, that's where a lot of men fall.
Mm.
You
That's
know,
so good.
like I said earlier, iron sharpens iron, as one man sharpens another. Confess your sins together and pray together, so that so that you may be healed. A lot of our healing doesn't come because it doesn't come from the inside out. It's
Mm.
existential. We expect it to come from the outside in.
mm-hmm.
You know, um, and not being true to yourself to understand that you have these feelings.
Mm.
And that's what, like I said, that sentimental value come in, and like Billy did, it helps. It gives you that drive, and some people don't want to let it go,
Yeah,
True.
because it gives you that drive, and people think they're in control when they're angry, but that's when you're in the least amount of control.
At least.
Um,
Wow, that's so good. And that's so true. Like it starts to eat at you and it starts affecting your natural health,
yeah,
when you talk about, going to therapy, we go to the doctor when we have certain issues, why can't we go to a doctor who heals minds, who deals with mindsets, like
right,
that's just common sense. But like you said, culture has a lot to do with it as well. But I feel like we are becoming more open as we talk more about mental illness and mental health. I see a lot of people changing that mindset. So,
A lot of it is heart health over mental health.
oh,
I'm doing a study on the heart and mind because the Bible tells you love God with all your heart, mind, and soul.
right.
Oh, yeah.
So understand that the mind and heart are two different things.
Mm,
So the heart actually neurologically sends more information to the brain than the brain does to the heart. Understanding that it's a lot.
yeah.
But a lot of times it's a heart issue.
Mm,
That we have. Sometimes it's PTSD, which is strictly mind, but most of it is a heart issue. And let's see what Lanisha Baker says down here. Oh yeah, she said it's for release in Jesus Christ, and that's true. I mean, that's what forgiveness is for. But for a lot of people, like I said, it's a heart issue.
yeah.
I mean, everything going on in this world is not a mind issue. It's a matter of the heart.
Most
And we've all grown up in church, and I don't think we've ever even really been, search your heart. How do I access it?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's another tea time thing there.
He said it's a whole nother. He got all my topics out here. I'm about to make this Billie's tea time in a minute.
A lot of times we're told to do things because people only repeat what they heard, but they never tell you, how do I access my heart? How do I know it's coming from my heart? We always attach that with an emotion, but emotions are not always a standard of truth. So now, because we're on Facebook, I can't tell you one of the conversations that I had with my son to make him a one-man woman.
Wait.
Wait. Well, hold up.
Hang on, Dad.
I taught you how to be a one-man woman and told you.
Oh, yeah. I was.
But yeah. So,
well, that brings us to the next question. Let's talk about this. I'm gonna ease us out of that.
You might get blocked.
I just said, "Come on, sir."
Well, I mean, even with Audrey, when he married her, he thought for some reason she was gonna move to South Carolina. I said, "What you gonna bring over here?"
I was trying to get her to go. I was.
Well, never did. Y'all move like a pack. I mean, and I said, "What you gonna bring over here, son? To a broken family when she has a solid foundation where she is. Happy wife, happy life.
Well,
don't bring her over here where you got me over here, your mom over here, your granddad over here. Leave her with her family. And maybe in due time, she'll want to move." He's like, "No, we moving to South Carolina." I said, "Okay, all right." And then he told me one day, "Hey, Dad, we're on the way to South Dakota." I said, "I tried to tell you."
That's so good.
But I think him moving out there was a part of healing as well.
Good.
I definitely take my hat off to all of you all for embracing him. So
most definitely, he is another Clark / Woodward.
Yep. Hold on. That's where the man comes in. Clark is your daddy. He don't get none of that.
He can't take no credit. He can't take nothing. I get it. Okay, well, we're gonna run out of time. Let's get into some more of these questions, though. So, what do you feel men are lacking though today? What are some values or what are some morals that men that you see, young or old, are lacking today?
Accountability and responsibility. If you look at biblical manhood, everything in biblical manhood is based off accountability and responsibility. Those are the two things that define biblical manhood. Taking care of the family, being of a sober mind, all those things, basically boil down to accountability and responsibility. I always tell, there's 3 rules in life. Do what you say you're going to do, pay your bills on time, and be true to yourself. So if I have to pull one out of that, people are not being true to themselves. Society's changed a little bit. When I was younger, You had, everywhere there were men. You went to the park, there were men. You went to the gas station, there were men. It would pull you to the side and give you that little bit of nugget of information. And we don't have those places like that now. There's no unorganized free play, out in the neighborhoods or at the schools, where boys are able to be boys. And build those social skills, conflict resolution skills. You draw that line in the sand. I bet you won't cross that line. That's conflict resolution. And a lot of those places don't exist anymore. So it's really hard for that old school type of man to be born. I think it was Genghis Khan. One of those guys said, men are only as hard as the society that they're in.
Wow.
So during the Roman times, men were very feminine because there was no war. And we're in, I hate to say this, probably get beat up, but we're in a society that's ran by women. Socially.
Hence tea time with Liz. No, just kidding.
Well, not things like this, but where women are taking, the generation has deteriorated so much, that women are taking the lead. While dudes sitting at the house not doing anything. There's not a lot of men in education, things of that nature. So just that accountability and responsibility is just not.
Man, it's so good. It's so simple, but yet so good and so rich. Like it is so real because and it shows. I see that because you don't see a lot of committed relationships. You don't see, you said, commitment to doing school or try to further your career education because why? It's going to show you how to be accountable or be responsible for something that you have to do. And so if they can find the easy way out, why not? So I totally can see that. I'm not totally not man bashing by no means, but I do see it.
But now we get beat up, as a man. I'm almost looked. I think somebody told me I was toxic and hyper masculine.
Oh my God, what?
I had somebody tell me take some of the bass out of my voice. I didn't realize I had a deep voice till they told me that. So in these times it's a little bit more difficult. Because the word man has become an it. We're not people anymore. We've become an it, and everybody wants to hate that it. So if you name something, people are hate it from a group standpoint and not look at it as an individual thing. So we become an it. That everybody hates. So now you get these ugly looks and things of that nature. I'm 290 pounds. We're gonna see, me walk through the room. And in clergy, it's become more difficult. In the gym, it's become more difficult because society puts out that this it is what's suppressing you.
Wow.
And me and Billie had to go through a little bit of that as well.
Wow.
To understand what this type of man is and his purpose.
Wow.
So it's different. It's different.
It is so different.
Yeah.
Okay, Billie. I don't know, little Billie. Can you add to that?
I was gonna say that too. Accountability and like responsibility and like communication. Even for me, I'm learning how to communicate. Because I'm used to being secretive. Like that's how I grew up. I was just secretive. And for me, if I let you in too close, that's you crossing the red zone. You crossing that line that I do. And so a lot of men need to know that your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, it's okay to communicate because that's home. That's a safe place. And that's one thing I had to tell myself was Audrey is home. So I can communicate. I can, let her see my wounds, And what I've learned with a lot of like guys my age is that because there's so many scars, I gotta treat her like this, or I gotta treat her like this, and then use the scars as a crutch. Like, yeah, you went through some hell because I did too, but at the same time, if you gonna hook up with old girl and y'all get a baby, that's your baby. You need to take care of that baby. And I'm tired of, like, for me, I'm tired of seeing women pushing strollers, walking down the street trying to get to the bus stop. You know what I'm saying?
I got
Yeah. but
Mr. Wait, let your dad add to that. What do you, sir? What would you like to add?
you know that, and one of our commenters said that most of our men are dead in jail. That's not true. That's what they teach us. That we're dead in jail. Yeah, we're a small part of the population. A lot of men are dead in jail, but let's focus on the ones that aren't.
Right.
They make us focus on the negative. But let me tell you about my mama.
Oh, wait.
My mama raised me to be the man that I am. So, when you would look at a Proverbs 31 woman, it says she did, she did, she did, she did. Now, what people don't understand is I'm just an example. I'm the authority, and authority is only good when it's present. Mama is the influence. Look at any sports figure or anybody that has a platform. Who they gonna thank first? Mama.
Right.
You don't want to disappoint first. Mama. So when people understand the natural role that we have, men are the authority figures, women have the influence. But my mama taught me how to shake hands. My mama taught me, if I saw my uncles fix something, it's because I know my mama tried already. And she couldn't do it. So we've come to this point where, you got 1950s men, you got 19th century men and 21st century women. And it's hard, but we got to take that thought process out. And this is the thing for women, be that example, as the Bible tells you, and I'm gonna tell you, my mama raised a strong man. All I can say is my mama, my mama, my mama. So women do have that ability. I think women build the best men because men are built by influence, emotion, nurturing, things of that nature. I teach you how to be responsible, but that's one out of the 10 things that a woman can do. And I think they stifle us. It's a Russian guy that talks about the State of the Union in Russia back in the 1960s. And one of the things was to teach us just this, to ruin our capitalist countries. And it's working, because you can be, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. I come pick the baby up, drop him off, but he would, the baby is with the mother most of the time. But when it comes to relationship with men or the dad, if the mama's not fostering that relationship when the daddy's not around, it's going to be real hard, for the man. So I think as men, we should build our women or step them up and say, no, if I die, you can do this. I'm sure, I was talking to a girl the other day about, changing her dad taught her how to do everything, but I teach his sisters how to do everything, so you're not left without, but you understand when it's time to step back and allow a man to be a man.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate part, that women think just because a man's not around, they just give up on the boy. Wow. And expect some outside man to come in. I won't be able to do that. I can only mentor him. I can only pour into him a little bit at a time. But you, as a woman, is the solidifying factor, or the top on the bottle, whatever you want to call it, that's going to seal that in him. Wow. And that's a lot of things we're missing. And they're putting way too much influence on the men, because I don't know about you, Audrey, but Billie knows, I know my granddad and my uncles, real men was at work all day. The only time you seen them is when they came home and they came out for dinner. And other than that, they went back in that secret room in the back that we just thought, like, what's in that room? They never come out.
Right.
But mama did it all. Daddy was just the provider and came in when necessary. And that's a lot of things that we're losing, to understanding those roles that we play in each other's lives. Wow. Sometimes we have to adapt and overcome, but we can.
We can.
I had Billie. I had a lady. We were in the gym and we were talking about. I live with a woman. She ain't paying the mortgage. It's just not gonna happen with me. She ain't paying the house bill. She pay something else. Lady told me I was a caveman.
Oh wow,
man.
For having that thought process. I don't know.
Wow.
But my mama taught me that. I don't know. So it's hard.
Honestly, I think it's all in how you grow up because obviously I grew up seeing my father provide for us. So
Right.
in my mind, I'm sure enough stepping back. You can go ahead. Go
Right.
ahead and pay that rent.
Right.
pay that mortgage. But once again, if you've been holding it down for so long, sometimes you get into the mindset of having to do that. But so breaking that can be hard, but I think if we're open enough as women, we should be able to honor the man or respect the man in that position. But do real men still want to do that, Billie?
I think they do.
Billie, little Billie.
This is a whole another tea time conversation. Because I think a lot of women do. They don't know how.
Mm.
They don't know how to step back and allow him to be that man. I had one lady talking about she wouldn't let her husband, wash her car because she liked her car washed a different way. Well, after 22 years, they got divorced. Because once a man offers you to do something, that's where he finds his worth. Once you take that from him once or twice, you'll never see it again.
And that's one thing I told Audrey, because Audrey's very independent, and I love her. You know what I'm saying? I told her I never want to take that from you, but there's a lot of things that I do that you should let me do. You know what I'm saying? So when somebody's at the door, I don't let her answer it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a male at the door, I'll answer the door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if something happens, I take the hit. She doesn't. I don't let her pump the gas. I pump the gas. You know what I'm saying? I don't let her cut the grass. She don't touch the yard, the cars. I got all of that. And it took a while to get there, but we got there. But at the same time,
do that finally.
My generation, we have to be man enough to open our mouth. That's one thing with my generation. I look at a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying, that I grew up with, and out of everybody that had babies and I got a family, only 2 of them, only 3 of them are being men. Everybody else is like, bro, what are you doing? And so for me, it's like we are like a lot of guys I see, they always complaining what the woman not doing, what the woman should do. But then it's like, okay, but bro, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That will, and you ain't even got to say it. If you just do it and be that man, she will follow. But if you just sitting back on your butt and you're not doing nothing, but then you expect her, she's not, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like my generation of men, we got to step up into that man role. And it's okay to not know what it is.
Right.
And that's why I would talk to my dad a lot, because I didn't know what it was.
You don't call me enough. Stop lying.
No, he put you on blast live.
All right, so because I called him the other day and I was like, "Did you just wake up?" He was like, "No, I'm going to the gym." And I was like,
okay. I'm dead with the voice.
I was like, okay, because my dad has a gym time and a sleeping time.
Oh yeah.
And I had them mixed up.
Yes.
He can hibernate when he want to. So I didn't know when his hibernation started and ended. But now
we're talking about in general, not that day.
Okay, in general,
you don't.
I be slacking. You don't
supposed to go more than 2 days without talking to your dad.
Wow, Billie. Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So what's
just real quick. Miss Barbara has, she's talking about, men these days are not real men, but just think about, socially what they have to deal with. You got these skinny jeans and everything on TV is feminine and drawing you towards being effeminate. You got these guys in dresses. We thought Medea was funny when it was actually destroying our, but it was actually destroying our thought process about men.
Yeah.
With all, I mean, it's just a lot, and I really believe, throughout history, women have determined what a man is. I'll just start with, poetry, the fork, the flute that you have to hold with two fingers. All of that became because women wanted to drive how men were. And now, if we follow women, we won't be men. During the Civil War, if you didn't go to war, women didn't walk on the same side of the street as you did.
Oh wow!
Because you weren't considered a man. A 14-year-old queen came up with the fork because she didn't like the way her husband was eating. He was eating too barbaric. A woman, one of the other queens wanted her husband in the 1300s, something like that, wanted her husband to be more sensual. So she got all the poets to write all of these love stories. So if we look at the dynamic of it, women have always driven what made a man, to an extent. And now that's just going down the drain. They want to emasculate you, I tell women I give out honorary man certificates because you want to be the man. Here, take this honorary man certificate.
I'm dead.
I
got a certificate for you.
yeah, I got this honorary certificate, honorary man certificate. That's what you mean, and I don't know. They pride themselves on independence, and it's hard for a man. It is hard.
Wow.
To be a man, because I got to almost anything less than coming here busting you in your head, for you to allow me to be a man. I mean, it's just it's tough.
No, and it is. And thank you though for that wisdom, for that insight. I think sometimes us as women, we do get too caught up in that whole independence. We have to get back into the mindset of God made us helpmates. Get back into the family dynamic of things, husbands and wives, children, that process as well. But understanding the role of a man and what a man is able to carry more than a woman. We're not made to carry a lot of these things that we're trying to put ourselves into.
That's right.
And that's why we are having cracked up issues in our head and everything else. But once again, that's a whole nother tea time.
I'm gonna drop this nugget on you. God said man wasn't meant to be alone.
Right.
True.
Man wasn't alone, he had God. So God took all the majesty, mystique, and the complementariness of man outside of himself and put it in woman, for her to be a suitable helper. And that's one of the things that women aren't being taught. There was something that God was giving Adam, before Eve came on the scene. And he took that outside of himself and put it in woman for her to be a suitable helper. And a lot of, like I said, the majesty, the mystique, and the complementariness of man. And put it in woman for her to be a suitable helper. And that's where it all breaks down, because a man can't be a man without a woman.
Can't.
Woman can't be a woman without a man. That's the purpose of it. And I know we didn't get into a lot of the questions because me and my
didn't, but it's okay.
Both of us long-winded, so
this is how we go. This is how we do it. Yeah. But it has been great information. It has been great wisdom at that. Like I said, it is definitely given me a great insight on respect and honoring men in their roles, but also that father-son dynamic as well. Like how well that connection is really needed and what comes out of that. But Billy, little Billy, did you have anything you wanted to?
I sure did.
You kept trying to.
I was trying to like slide. Hey, Dad, let me talk. Hey, Dad,
I'm sorry.
Dad, let me talk. Literally,
people don't listen to me much, so I talk a lot.
He said, "Let me take over for a second."
So like, I keep looking at like my dad's like Superman. Right there.
Actually, yes. It's a globe that says Superman.
The bottom one.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. So one of the questions was like, when did we find out like we hit manhood?
Oh, you talking about tattoos?
Yeah, well,
I don't even know how to show it.
Oh,
yeah. You don't have the same tattoo?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah,
up. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on, how I get on it is.
yeah,
He said,
yeah,
"Pause it
yeah. And so, like for us, like you know, my dad pulled me to a tattoo shop, turned the car off, and anytime a man drive you somewhere and turn the car off and sit there with his seatbelt still on, you know it's about to be a real.
Oh no, what
He said,
happened?
"You go," and I was like, this could go one of two ways, and I don't know which way it's gonna go.
Are we getting out or are we staying in?
You know, but he was telling me, he was like, you're gonna get this Superman tattoo, because you've reached a place where God is the head of your life, and that you're not the superhero, but Jesus is, right? And that step is the beginning of manhood. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, and then I got the tattoo as well, so we both gonna have it. And I was like, okay, that's it. So yeah.
He got excited. So you actually have something physical to remember your manhood experience.
Right.
Jumping into it.
That's
That's
funny. I didn't know he looked at it like that. That's funny. That's funny.
He said,
It's
trust
true.
me, that was not my intention. So
It was. It was.
I'm kidding.
It's good. I mean, I enjoyed tonight. You know, I got to see his point of view from a lot of things. Because you don't talk about what you think about each other. You just live through life together. So I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. No, thank you. Like I said, thank you guys so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your information. Like I said, as a woman, as a single mom, you've definitely opened up my eyes as well. And I'm sure a lot of the viewers, as they have been commenting, you'll have to definitely go back and read some of them. But
yeah, we're gonna have to pray for Miss Barber. She is upset
she is in her mindset tonight, but it's good. It's good dialogue.
Tell her I do counseling for free. She can call me. I help.
We love Miss Juanita. She's definitely a good time. But like I said, thank you guys again for taking your time out tonight to share all that. Y'all hit them up. These are their names on social media. They could share more. We'll definitely have to bring them back for a part 2 on another topic. We've got about 5 of them out of this live tonight. So it will be a good conversation. So, but thank you all again. And we will see you all next Tuesday for Tea Time with Liz. All right. Have a good night, everyone.